Welcome to the Fire and Earth podcast with your hosts, Jason Mefford and Kathy Gruver. Fire and Earth, giving you the keys to unlock your limitless potential.
Welcome to another edition of the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm your co-host, Jason Mefford.
And I'm Kathy Gruver, and we are so excited today to introduce another special guest. I have known Victoria Gallagher for a long time. We actually room together in New York. We know each other's private and intimate secrets about how we sleep. But today we're going to talk about manifestation and really finding a way to tap into your own potential, which is what we talk about here on the show, and also how to kind of use universal energy and forces and the power of your mind to get what you want. So we are so happy to welcome Victoria Gallagher to the show. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! So Victoria, why don't you jump in and tell a little bit about your background, how you got into this whole manifestation thing. I know you're a hypnotherapist as well, so give us a little bit about who you are.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for you guys for having me on your show. I love talking about law of attraction, manifesting, that whole thing, tapping into the power of your mind. Just a little bit of background, how I got started in this was I was on my own personal growth journey. I was a stockbroker at the time, and I realized that I wasn't feeling very passionate about what it was that I was doing. And so I started taking some personal growth seminars, and these seminars basically woke me up. During these seminars, we would do these really bizarre techniques, these closed eye techniques. We'd close our eyes and we'd imagine all kinds of things. And we even partnered up with people, and we could literally find out things that we would not ordinarily know. So we were kind of tapping into like the super realm of the mind. And it just really opened me up. It opened my eyes to this whole new world. And at the time, I didn't call it law of attraction. At the time, it was just visualizing and meditating and making my dreams come true. And so I decided that since it was really difficult to get most of my friends and family to come and take this seminar and have the same experience that I had. And, it's kind of like, you go to Disneyland and you want everyone to experience Disneyland, right? And that was like kind of the experience I had. It was like, I just want everybody to have this awakening. I want everybody to tap into their true potential. So I realized what I really wanted to do was I wanted to make these recordings that would allow other people to explore the full potential of their mind. And in order to get myself to feel like I was qualified to make these recordings, I stumbled upon a hypnotherapy course, and I decided, oh, that's cool. I never really thought of becoming a hypnotherapist before. And so I became a hypnotherapist. I actually started seeing clients one-on-one, had my own office. I broke away from the whole stockbroker routine and career, and there was a whole lot of drama about that, about making that happen, about making that transition into doing what it is that I do. But I just kept using the tools, using what I was learning, and I eventually became we're making the recordings and selling them on my website became my full-time living.
That's great. Now, did you use law of attraction to get to work with law of attraction?
I did. I absolutely did. I didn't know that that's what I was using at the time because nobody was calling it that. And a lot of people do actually have these experiences all of the time, and they don't realize that what they are actually doing is applying the principles of manifestation. They're using law of attraction to bring into their lives the desires that they want, but they don't realize exactly how that works or why it's working. But it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier, how you were talking about the way that you work with your businesses, and instead of getting people to have to force themselves to do things, and that's one of the ways that we talk about in manifesting is when it just feels unnatural. It feels like you're having to do something every day, go to work, go to a job every day that you don't like, or you're using force rather than using the power of all of these all of these hunches, these inspirations, these ideas that come to you, which we ignore. And when we ignore those, we're not in alignment with who we were really meant to, to be.
Mm-hmm.
I love the word alignment. And I feel like so often we're out of alignment with things around us, and we are trying to force our way into things. You're trying to force that relationship to work. You're trying to force that contract to happen. You're trying to force that. I remember doing that when I was an actor. It's like, I want this role so bad, and I would force it, and then it would end up being a horrible experience. And it's like, maybe I should have just let that one go. So as I've gotten older, it's like I listen to that gut. I listen to that. Everything in my body's telling me this is not right.
Yes.
How do we, for those people who are trying to force things, they're trying to force that thing to happen, what advice do you have for them? Is it relaxing and stepping back? Is it going with the flow? How do you get into that alignment?
Well, it's interesting because right now I'm writing a book. It'll be out in January, called Practical Law of Attraction. And it is the practical steps that you need to take in order to attract. Now, a lot of books and movies and literature and teachers out there, they have they'll say it's a 3-step process, or make it, first you do this, second you do this, third you do this, and then you're then you're going to attract things. And my take on that, number one, is a little bit more than 3 steps. And number 2,
usually is.
Yeah, right.
I actually have identified 10 phases or principles or conditions, basically, that are needed in order for manifestation to take place. And I'll go over a few of those, but there are 10. And I just touched my microphone. There are 10 of them, and they don't necessarily all happen at the same time. They're not a linear approach. And so a lot of times where people get stuck and get out of alignment is they think, well, first I need to do this, then I need to do that. But you may be, so one of the steps and we'll just call it the first step, but it's not necessarily the first step, but it's the one that comes in the first chapter in my book. And that's about desire. It's about getting in touch with the pure desire. So we have desire that actually comes from 2 different places. We have the desire that actually comes from our essence, our spirit, our heart, which is what our soul really wants. It's what we were sort of like our soul purpose, what we were meant to do. We have that desire, but most of us have lost touch with that desire. And so we have the other desire that comes from our ego. We have the desire about what it is that our society tells us that we should want. And so those are the things that we think are desire. And it's not bad. It's not that you can't manifest those things. You can manifest those things. But to be really in alignment with body, mind, spirit, you are going to have a much easier time getting into alignment if it's coming from your heart space and not from your head space. So that's number one. That's the first thing you really want to take a look at, and how you can really get in touch with what you really desire is counterintuitive. Take a look at everything that you are complaining about. So law of attraction tells us, that, whatever you think about is going to manifest. All right. So if you are complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining, those are the things that you're going to be experiencing more often. But if you're just complaining haphazardly without really taking a look at that and really being aware that, like, oh, okay, I seem to be complaining about this a lot. So you take a look at all of your complaints about a particular area of your life. Say that if it's in the area of relationship, or if it's in the area of something that you want to manifest in your business, or if it's maybe in an area of health. Take a look and write down, what am I complaining about? Then, once you have a list of the things that you are complaining about, then you need to ask yourself, what is it that I would rather have instead of that, because the complaining is going to continue to attract more of that. The observation of what you don't want is going to attract more of that. So you may, on the one hand, have an idea that, I want to attract this, but if everything that you're saying that's coming out of your mouth is how it's not working and how this is bad and how this is wrong, then you are completely out of alignment. So it starts with that desire. It starts with taking a look at those complaints and saying, what is it? What's the solution to this? What is it that I would rather have? What is the, what would I like to create around me instead of that? So that's really one of the areas that it starts, is with your, getting in touch with that desire. Your complaints will ultimately tell you what it is that you really desire instead.
Well, and I think it's interesting because you use the word phases as well, because, and so it's interesting, I learned that you were a stockbroker, right, to start with. So I was an accountant. I still am, right? I'm a CPA. I was trained in business and the logical, stuff, and you talked about, mind versus heart.
Yes.
Kind of thing, because what I wanted to maybe ask a couple questions on, because I've seen this in my own journey, right? When we're little kids, we have all these great dreams, and everything else. And then we grow up and we go to college and we get told what we're supposed to do, right?
Yes.
And I feel like I'm the logical song, from Supertramp, right? and I'm a vegetable.
I love that song.
Right? It's a great song. But a lot of us go down this path, right? It's logical. You grow up, you get married, you get a career, you make money, you have kids, right? I mean, we get told kind of this script.
Yes.
Supposed to go in our life.
We do.
And so I followed that same path, right? And many years ago, I bought the book, The Secret. Okay. And I read it the first time. And again, my logical mind goes, right? Bullshit, right? You don't just think it and everything just happens, right?
Yes. Right.
And so I kind of discounted that, but there were things, throughout my life that have continued to happen. And I keep getting, those little inspirations that you talked about.
Exactly.
And I keep getting kind of pulled back in that way until finally in the last couple of years, I think I'm learning to listen more to my heart. Right. And so the more we do that and the more we listen to those inspirations or intuitions that come along, it becomes easier. Right. And we were talking before about how, sometimes we're just like hitting against the wall. And after a while, our head gets bloodied and it hurts, right? And so finally, we have to kind of wake up. So maybe because, you kind of came on this journey of self-discovery yourself too. So I'm sure there's people listening that, maybe were like me and are kind of discounting some of this stuff to begin with. And how do you kind of get past that, right? Instead of just discounting everything and saying, that's woo-woo, right? I mean, a lot of people like to use that term. And the funny thing is science has caught up, and the woo-woo of the 60s that everybody thought, oh, that's for pot smoking hippies.
Right.
There's actually science to support it now.
Hello to all our pot smoking hippie friends.
Yes. Hello.
Shout out to the pot.
Three of us are in California at least, right? Yeah. Okay.
The reason why I wrote this book, Practical Law of Attraction, is to it's for that audience. It's for the logical minded. I'm a very logical minded person. I came from that financial background as well. It's almost like you can't be in that type of industry without having a little bit more of a logical, rational thinking mind. So it takes, I had to convince myself that this stuff works. And what I realized, and the message that I really want to get across is like 95% of this is you just doing it. It's not, the law of attraction, it sounds mysterious. It sounds like there's this, and of course, the way that they represent it in the movie, The Secret, it sounds, you're looking out into the sky and you see a genie and when it's represented like that, that's where people discount it because it seems too good to be true. It seems like, oh, I can just make a wish, and this genie's, the next thing you know, somebody's wrapping this $10 million necklace around my my neck, or a car is going to appear out in front, and it doesn't work like that. It's actually a little bit more of, really, everybody knows, everybody's had the experience of their intuition. Okay. And everybody's had the experience of the positive vibes and the negative vibes. You walk into a room, or somebody else walks into a room, and when they come into the room, they are emitting some sort of an energy. It's a mood or a feeling that they have been carrying around. Now, we go through moods and feelings throughout the day. It's constantly varying. Some moments we're neutral, kind of in a neutral place. Some moments we're in a really high, excited place. Some moments we're in a lower vibe. And, but we're all over the place. But we're going to tend to resonate and fall back on a certain, like, what we want to call emotional set point. Now, that emotional set point, that is the vibe that everyone sort of has that experience of you. You've felt that. You've felt that feeling from people. Everybody's emitting that. And that is the vibe that is basically attracting other people, circumstances to you. People want to be around you, or they don't want to be around you. It's also going to open up your eyes to opportunities that, if you're feeling in a low vibe, if you're feeling like nothing ever goes my way, I'm constantly, bad things are always happening. If you're feeling in this low vibe, then your eyes are not going to be open to certain opportunities, which are actually always there. You're just not acting on them. It's kind of like, if you think about your subconscious mind. A lot of this also works based on the subconscious mind and your beliefs. That's another thing that never actually gets addressed in The Secret, is a lot of this actually plays upon our subconscious mind. If you have a desire, but your internal belief system is not lined up with that desire, you're not going to manifest it. So you have to deal with the limiting beliefs that you have. There's a part of you that is just not getting that idea. You're just not believing in it. So a lot of what we're told about law of attraction is just not very practical, because it doesn't really make sense to a lot of people, because they're not aware of basically that we have our conscious mind, and we have our subconscious mind, and then we also have our super conscious mind. And the super conscious mind is sort of like the collective consciousness, like everyone's mind is sort of like tapped into this. Have you ever had an idea and you didn't take action on that idea, and then next thing you know, 6 months later, someone else is taking action on that idea, and all of a sudden you see this everywhere? That's an example of sort of like tapping into this universal infinite intelligence they talk about in Think and Grow Rich. It is basically like where everyone's mind is sort of like connected. All the thoughts that are you're thinking are ultimately, you're catching other people's thoughts. So if you can kind of, and I realize that part maybe is where the woo-woo can happen, that you have to suspend a little bit of belief, because no one actually really knows how this whole super conscious mind works. That's the part you do have to just have a little faith in. But if you can pull from your own personal experiences and know that, you've had those moments where you thought of somebody, and all of a sudden now they're calling you, or you call them, they're like, I was just thinking about you. Okay, then that our thoughts are kind of connected with each other. And so if you're putting out thoughts that are of a positive vibe, you're going to start to notice and attract more more experiences that are at a positive level of mind. But it has to go through everything. You've got to be open and receptive to doing the things that is the information that you're receiving from these hunches. If you just kind of sit around and wait for things to happen, or you're not paying attention, you're not tuned in, you're not tapped into what your intuition is trying to tell you to do, then you're not in alignment. And, if you don't clear those limiting beliefs, then that part of you is not going to be in alignment. So it really is, and I give these practical steps and exercises that you can do in the book on exactly how you can clear these things and how you can get yourself more into a vibrational alignment with what your desires are and what it is that you want to attract.
That's so great. I want to keep interjecting things with what you're saying, because it's okay. The first thing is, I read an amazing article years ago. It was actually in Oprah's magazine, which I had picked up in a doctor's office, and it was about luck.
Mm-hmm.
And they interviewed people who deemed, excuse me, whether they had good luck or bad luck. And it turned out the people with good, quote, good luck were the ones who were more outgoing, the ones who were more positive, the ones who expected good things to happen. They did experiments where they'd put a $100 bill on the floor in a bar and see who found it. And it 9 times out of 10 was the one looking for opportunities, looking for that. So your outlook on that, how you present yourself to others and tapping into that, I always say, go talk to strangers. That is the best possible thing you can do, because that's where opportunities come from.
Exactly.
The other thing is, in talking about the being in alignment with people, okay, we don't know where our ideas come from. If you open up my head and pull my brain out and dissect that, where's the idea place? We don't know. No one exactly knows where that comes from, which to me is absolutely fabulous and fascinating. So it does come from this giant pool of ideas. We actually don't know. But if you look at the concept of mirror neurons, and they have taken spouses or people in close relation in separate rooms in separate parts of the world and done one with one spouse, the other one feels that sympathy or feels that joy or feels that we are so intimately connected with people. So looking at it from that science perspective, as both practical Jason and I like to do, there is evidence that supports this works. It's just important to, and I love saying that you need to know what you want, that desire, because one of the first episodes we did, Jason, was about goal setting. Yep. And that's sort of the practical aspect of manifestation. If you don't know what you want, if you don't know where you're going, what are you programming into your GPS? You have to know where you're going. Now, how you get there might be determined by something else, but unless you tap into where you definitely want to be and take action, you then have to get in the car, which is the action part of it, then you're not going to get anywhere. So this is really great info. Anything you want to throw in right now, Jason?
Well, yeah, because I was, again, lots of stuff that I want to throw in, right? But I think one of the things too, I mean, for those that are a little bit skeptical about it, right? Because we are throwing some things out there that, again, some people go, this is a little crazy, right? But there is a difference between the mind and the brain.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Again, they're doing a lot of scientific research now on that, because, our brain is what's inside our head, right? It's this little fatty thingy that's in there, right? And we know we don't use very much of its processing speed. Already, right? So there's something bigger to it. And so, the brain is inside our head, but the mind, and where a lot of these ideas and other things come from, is bigger than us. And so that's, again, where sometimes these intuitions or these other thoughts come. And we were talking about luck, right? And one of the ways to describe luck that I love, kind of from a business side, is luck happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Yes.
And so, again, if you're talking to those strangers, if you're in that positive mindset, so you're always looking for the opportunities, you're going to find them.
Yes.
And again, in psychology, it goes back to confirmation bias and some of the other stuff, that we see. You decide, hey, I'm going to go buy a new car, and I want it in red. And all of a sudden, everything you see on the road is one of that make and model in red. And you're like, wow, I had no idea there were so many there. There were that many the whole time.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. The moment I decided what car I wanted, it was like, that's all I saw. It just saw it everywhere. And, an interesting thing about the luck. So I wrote another book a while back in a website called Attract Good Luck. This was some years ago. And what was so interesting about that was at that time, and one of the things that I'm playing with is this whole idea of subtlety. This whole idea of when we make a very subtle request to, because another part of my book talks about the law of detachment, because, the clinging to our desires and wanting them so bad to manifest and just, thinking about them, you're kind of coming from a place that's creating this resistance and this anxiety and this lack of trust. And so of course that's not a good feeling. That's a bad feeling. That's a negative feeling. So you're just going to keep attracting more things that are going to make you feel more anxious about it. So getting back to the subtlety. So I kind of subtly said one day, and I just didn't even really have any energy on it at all. And I said, after I had this website and this book on attracting good luck, I'm like, I want to get on some, national talk shows. I just said that, it's like, that would be a great way to build my business, get on some national talk shows. And I kid you not, okay, I'd never been, except for maybe long time ago on a local channel. But other than that, I had never been on TV before. And within 2 weeks of saying that, I got a call from ABC 2020, and you can look it up. I was on ABC 2020 on my with talking about my Attract Good Luck website and book. So it is about when that opportunity meets the preparation. Here I had prepared something, they were looking for it, and it just happened by me just merely making a, so sometimes, and one of the things I talk about in my book is, how long should it take to manifest something? Well, it takes as long as it takes for you to be in alignment with it. So,
and I'm going to throw in there, or something else in the universe to be in alignment. Mm-hmm. Because especially with something like that, I mean, you didn't fall into it, but the ABC thing happened in its time too. Mm-hmm. And universe is not this linear time. It is not 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It takes so much in the world to get this stuff. And when I've taught manifestation or power, law of attraction kind of stuff, and somebody says, well, why doesn't it ever happen? Look, I don't have the blueprint to the universe.
Right.
So I can't explain why you did all those steps and you did all those phases and you still didn't get that thing. Maybe karmically you're not supposed to. Maybe that was someone else's car, boyfriend, dog. It's like, I can't explain why things don't happen, because I don't have that blueprint. I'd love to. It would be a great show if I could just read from that blueprint of the universe. So, and we're just wrapping up in the last couple seconds here. But what about for people that do keep trying to manifest stuff and it's not working? What step can they take in these final couple seconds, and then we'll find out how they can reach you for more info.
Sure. So the main thing that they want to do is they want to check off all of the areas of where they might be out of alignment in. First you want to look at, is your desire true? Is it something you really want? Are your thoughts? What are you thinking about? Where is your focus? Are you continuing to focus on, what it is that you want or what it is that you don't want? You want to check in with your feelings. Your feelings are what are creating your vibration. You want to check in with your, are you listening to your intuition? So those are 5 main areas that you can really look at to see, like, are you in alignment with those things? And are you taking the actions? Are there little things that you're listening to that you're just putting off and procrastinating on? If it's hard, if you're struggling, if you're not liking the way that you're spending your time during the day, because you really do want to enjoy how you're spending your day. If you don't enjoy the way that you're spending your day, you need to take a look at that, because maybe you're trying to force it. You're trying to come up with the how and the way and the time. And that's the other thing too, is how do you know it hasn't manifested? Because there, it may not be, it may happen tomorrow, and so if you're thinking that it hasn't manifested yet, then that means you are attached to it manifesting in a particular way, in a particular time. And that's not up to you. That part is not up to you. If it's meant to be, if it's something that's really important to you, then it doesn't matter what it takes to get there. And sometimes the universe gives you these signs, that kind of look like things are going in the opposite direction. Maybe you want to manifest more love in your life and you're with somebody and you end up breaking up. Sometimes you have to let things fall apart in order for them to fall together. So those are just a few of there's many other reasons why it may not be happening for you, but those are just a few of the areas that you can check into.
Awesome. This has been such a good show. Michael, we could talk about this for hours, because I know both Jason and I are so into this, and I know we're all learning so much. Any last final thoughts from you, Jason? We'll let Victoria share how she can be reached and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I was just going to say too, because as you were talking too, it's a lot of us do have that logical brain that's trying to, lead us some other way or try to force us to do something. But, the only way to find out if it actually works is to try it. And so, as those little intuitions come along and you don't act on it, and then you feel horrible, right? Then you feel like, oh, geez, I should have done that. Well, learn from that. Next time you feel that little intuition come along, just do it. Because most of the time, the things that our intuition is telling us to do aren't like these great big huge things like, it's gonna stop the course of human history if we do this.
Right. It's little nudges.
It's little nudges. And so give in to some of those little nudges and then see how you feel. Because again, some people that are listening might go, this is just woo woo. You guys are crazy. Yeah, you know what? We might be, but just try it a little bit and see how you feel. And if you feel better, and if you feel like you're making progress and your life is better today than it was yesterday, then give into it, have a little bit of faith, and just kind of keep going down the path, and let's see where it takes you. Because most likely it's going to get you out of those negative things. Yeah, those urges that come along, because most likely it's going to get you to a better place than where you are.
Yeah, and ask yourself too, do you think you're more likely to ultimately get what you want by lining up with this stuff, thinking good thoughts, feeling good feelings, taking inspired actions, or do you think that's less likely to help you along the path? It really, if you want to put it into logical terms, you want to think, well, is it better to feel good, think good, or feel bad and think bad? It's really like you have a much better chance of succeeding and getting what you want when you line up with this stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Absolutely. All right, Victoria, you've been amazing. Why don't you tell everyone how they can reach you if they want to talk more about Law of Attraction, get your books, get your recordings? Where can everyone find you?
Sure, absolutely. So my book is still being written as we speak. It'll be out in January, but I'm sure, if you go to hyptalk.com, that's my main website, hyptalk.com. If you go to hyptalk.com, you will definitely get an announcement if you sign up for my Hypnosis video training course. It's basically going to teach you a little bit about, how to tap into the power of your mind by teaching you self-hypnosis. And so when you sign up there, you will definitely get notified on when my book is released, which should probably be in January. And then while you're there, there's over 500 different recordings. Probably over a third of them are on law of attraction principles, because that's what I just love teaching people about. So yeah, go to hiptalk.com and sign up for your free self-hypnosis video training course.
All right. Well, thank you again for being on, and thanks everybody for listening. Go out and make tomorrow better than yesterday was, and make today a great day, and really unlock your potential and find out who you are inside so that you can have that alignment and really have the life that you want to live. So thanks for listening. I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com.
And I'm Kathy Gruver. I can be reached at kathygruver.com. Go out, make an amazing day, manifest that incredible future for yourself, and we'll see you for your next episode.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks.